Oof. He did that on live TV. Yo, he ripped his hand off on live TV. Remember when I said this is feeling like The Boys? Yeah, Homelander is home. So, an episode or two back? I forget. It was pretty recently. I mentioned how we are very much approaching a full-blown Homelander meltdown, and I wasn't sure what it was going to look like, but then we seemingly stabbed Red, and that could easily have, removed the issue. Unfortunately, it seems it was a doppelganger, because if we needed any indication that this was our good old hero Red, the temper tantrum he threw on national TV, live stream, mind you, kind of speaks for itself. And for anyone who's seen The Boys, or those even who haven't, there is plenty of moments throughout that show where you see Homelander, the wannabe #1 hero, does no wrong, who just does some unhinged shit, and people clap like goddamn seals, circus monkeys. And had the cult not gone off the deep end and turned into abominations, I think the Rangers would have been shit out of luck. I think most likely what would have happened is they would have built into turning on Red, if the public support was too bad. But because they're all now abominations, this man ripping off a psychopath's arm on TV will just be like, it wasn't children friendly, but he did what he had to do. If we are lucky enough to see a season 3, we're totally going to see this man blow apart. There'll be protesters on the street, and he's going to pull a Homelander and just shoot them in the face, and then people are going to clap because they're going to be like, well, we couldn't be too sure. They could have been a monster in disguise. I love, too, that we've seen so much bullshit with this guy that he's not, like, you can't shock us in the way that, like, oh my god, I can't believe he did that. We can believe he does anything anymore. If I didn't watch an episode and you told me he shoved his fist up some guy's ass and ruptured him into the moon, I'd be like, yeah, that probably happened. He's crazy enough for that. But the idea that he first crushed the man's hand and then ripped it off, like he snapped that thing like he had a rotisserie chicken from Costco and he was going to town. Just insanity. Just peak insanity. And I love, too, that they didn't just immediately build into that moment. Like, they didn't just rush in to say, okay, we need some bloodshed. We need to drop the mic. Make sure you're just shooketh. To be honest, I think I'm more shook that they took their helmets off than Homelander ripping off the guy's arm on TV. That seems about right. And the fact that Heesway was just, like, laughing her ass off, like, damn, I wish I could have saw that. Now everyone knows how much of a freak he is. I'm just like, that's our heroes, everyone. Unfortunately, the cult acted like a cult much faster than I was expecting. Between this show, To Be Hero X, and Fire Force, there's a lot of cultist vibes going on anymore. If you look at a show like Fire Force, they just want to burn the whole world down. This show, they just want humanity to cease to exist. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. The man our girl was calling Daddy, I was really concerned at first because I wasn't sure if she was calling him Daddy or Daddy. Do you catch my drift? There's definitely some age discrepancy going on because, like, the age he's seemingly supposedly being in, 20 years, it's just some weird shit going on. But, for a brief moment, we did get some pretty wholesome, can I have your autograph? To be honest, I thought he was going to ask him to sign his underwear, but the lab coat, I guess, made more sense. I love how he files it away. Kind of reminded me in a very wholesome way of one of our MCs from My Hero Academia Vigilantes, just instead of All Might hoodies, it's, Duster D's signature, which is kind of funny. This arc is wild, though. It feels like it's going to be a lot shorter than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting, like, maybe another episode or two, maybe being like, okay, what's going to happen? Can we trust people? Who's going to make some plays? And instead, they came out swinging by ripping a man's arm off. What Red did to this psychopath is what would happen if 100 men actually tried to fight a gorilla. Like, just show people who think they're gonna beat up a gorilla that scene, because that's what's gonna happen. It's just gonna be just savage as hell. I definitely have questions, though, about Red, because it was pointed out to me that when the Rangers transform, like they have a transformation sequence, right? So like they don't like put on a costume. But at the same time, we did see them take their helmets off. But I guess you could assume the helmets come off a little differently. So the person we stabbed who was taking off the costume, that would feel more fake than it should. But at the same time, there's nothing that's necessarily saying they couldn't also take off the costume piece by piece. You know what I mean? Because the helmets do come off, but maybe that's a very specific piece of equipment. I don't know. As far as we know, though, and I guess from what was said in previous episodes, they do have like fill-ins and kind of like cover-ups. So that was just probably one dude playing a role because Red didn't want to go. I thought what they were building into was the same thing happening here, where he's like, "You're clearly a fake." Because even though he looked like him, I was like, okay. But as soon as I saw the Homelander vibes come out, I was like, no, that's our Red. For better or for worse, that's our Red. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I kind of wish maybe like an OVA, an alternate, like what would have. I want to see what the public would have done had they all not immediately turned into monsters. Because Red would have had like a pure ass 8-year-old meltdown like Homelander does in some of the later seasons before he gets his way for a little bit. But either way, I want to see all the Rangers turn on Red because I still firmly believe Red is probably the weakest out of all the Rangers, but Red only has the authority he does because he has fear and no one goes against him. Because it's not to say he doesn't have strength and power. He has divine artifacts. He has physical strength as seen by the arm ripping off. But at the end of the day, I really feel like if most of them jumped him, he wouldn't survive. And I have to believe like that's going to happen at some point. Hell, maybe the new Blue Ranger is going to, lead the revolution. God if I know. But either way, crazy shit. I said it last week. Just the way they reveal shit had me as shook as when they casually revealed the identities of the Armored and Colossal Titan in Attack on Titan. Because no characters just blurt out who they are as casually as they did. But last week definitely shook me. This week shook me less, but it's not to say it wasn't a shooketh episode, because, I mean, a guy did rip off another guy's arm on TV, and somehow went from pure cancellation to, oh, okay, yeah, maybe he's not as bad as we thought, that maybe this guy deserved it. Like, it's kind of the vibe I was getting. But either way, great stuff. It's a damn shame people aren't watching this. I think between the time loop arc and now the kind of monster enthusiast cult arc, the best season of Go-Go Loser Ranger, if you ask me. It's been exciting, been adrenaline pumping, and I love the fact that they're heavily playing into like that kind of Homelander vibe persona, because you don't see those type of characters too often, and honestly, the times I have seen them, whether in The Boys, whether this, or a couple of others, I always find they stand out in a very, negative way because they're such god-awful people, but such an entertaining way as a viewer experience. So, yeah, pretty great shit. Your thoughts, though, down below. What did you think? Favorite moment, if you got any. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new around here so you can, of course, see more of that Go-Go Loser Ranger greatness. Also, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more. We also have the Patreon, where we got the full live reactions over there exclusively. And hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout-out. All right, so today we got John Veltri, Russian Sodoranko, Bachik, Achi, Yoon, Stephen Pedikin, and we also have SK401. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and don't rip off anyone's arms. Have a good one.